All right, we're going to take a look here at different types of things and give you examples of different types of accounts, all right? So we've still got our basic equation. This is assets equals liabilities plus owner's equity. That's what we've got over there, all right? If we take a look at the asset side, there is a tremendous number of assets that you could have as a company or as an organization or something like that. The number one most important asset is always cash in bank. And that's the one that always appears first. And cash in bank is the most important because it can be used for anything. You can pay off your loans with it. You can take it out and, be an owner with more money. You can buy more equipment and assets over here. So the number one important thing, and it is always listed first, is cash in bank. And that is an asset because cash has value, all right? So if you have $10,000 cash, you have $10,000 of value. And in fact, it would, $10,000 in equity. You could take it out and you could use if you wanted to, okay? So cash in bank is the main one. After that, you've got something called accounts receivable. All right. So we're going to have to think about money flowing in different directions. So accounts receivable means money that you will receive in the future. You have done a service and that person owes you money and you will receive it in the next week, month, year, whenever you sign the contract for it. Okay? So if I do something for someone, like I go roof their house and I say, bill me, I'm going to send you a bill in 30 days, you got to pay. And then sometime in the next month, I don't know when, but sometime they're going to come pay me for doing that work. That's my accounts receivable. So it's not money in the bank, but it's pretty likely going to be money in the bank. It's coming in. So I've put out the bill and it's in the pipes and it's going to flow into my asset account. And so what we do with that is we call it accounts receivable. That's money coming to you. Now what's going to happen is when that money gets to you, then you'll reduce the amount of money. See, it's coming down the pipe, and once it comes out of the pipe and into your bank account, you don't have any account receivable anymore because they paid it. So if the other person pays that account receivable account, it goes down, but your cash in bank goes up. But it's on the same side of the equal sign, so that's fine. Okay? So that's accounts receivable. The other thing that's most likely going to occur is you're going to have a bunch of equipment. And this is where the list gets really long because there's no end of stuff that you can buy for your business, depending on what you need. Most businesses, if they have an office, also need furniture, they need stuff delivered, and they like to have a computer. It makes running a business a lot better. Okay? So these are the most basic things. If you have any kind of office system, you're going to have these types of assets. And then maybe you're going to have assets like the equipment you use to do what you do. All right? So if you're a roofing service, then you're going to have ladders and hammers and air compressor and nail gun and all that kind of stuff. And that's just going to make your equipment list super long. But all those things are all assets. All right? Now, the opposite of accounts receivable is accounts payable. So I receive things, so this is my accounts receivable, it comes to me. But my accounts payable, this is money I have to pay out to someone else. So if I do a roof, that's great, and I charge for people, I get my money by doing that. But I don't know anything about plumbing, so I have to pay the plumber to come fix my house. So the plumber comes to fix my house, and he gives me a bill. He says, you owe me this money. And for him, it's an account receivable, but for me, it's an accounts payable. I now have to pay the plumber money. So when I roofed his house, he paid me, that's accounts receivable. But when he fixes my pipes because they're not working right, I have to pay him. So anything that I owe, that's a liability. I owe the plumber money because he did work for me, so I have an account payable. I haven't paid it yet, but it's a liability. I owe it, and so it means at some point money is going to leave my bank account, and it's going to go to his possession. All right. So what happens when I pay this bill, I take money out of cash and I move it into this accounts payable. So the account payable goes away. I've paid off my bill, my liability disappears, but my cash also disappears too. So this would go down and my cash would go down, but that keeps our equation balanced, right? So you need to understand accounts receivable is money coming into you, accounts payable is money going out to someone else. Now, if you've sort of caught on to that, you understand that accounts receivable for me is someone else's accounts payable. And my account payable to someone else is their accounts receivable. So depending on who you are, you have one or the other of these things. All right? Now you could just pay straight cash, in which case there's no liability. But then something else has to go down, doesn't it? If I just pay straight cash and I don't have an accounts payable, I have no liability, I lost money over here on this side of the asset equation with the equal sign. So what's going to balance that? I also have to lose equity over there. Okay? So if I have $10,000 in cash and I spend $5,000 on plumbing, I now have $5,000 in cash, which means my business is worth $5,000 less. Okay? It balances with the owner's equity over here. All right. So the new word has appeared over there. Owner's equity means what you own, and specifically the owner has a capital account. Capital is what you use to run your business. A capital good or a capital account is what is used to make other goods. So if I have a roofing business, I have, whatever amount of money is cash in the bank minus my liabilities will be my capital, the amount of money I can work with to run my business. So I like to keep around $10,000 in my capital account because you never know in the rental business when a heat pump breaks. They run for 20 years and boom, they're gone. But boy, if your renters don't have heat, that's really bad. So you got to fix it. So I like to keep a cushion, like $10,000 in my capital account, so that when that heat pump breaks, I can pay for it and it's all good. Now, if I didn't have that cushion, I'd have to go into debt. I'd have to have a liability. I'd have to say, hey, heat pump company, $7,500. I don't have it. Can I pay you over time? Can I spend 6 months paying you for the heat pump you're going to put in right now? And they say, sure. Now I have this $7,500 liability, and for the heat pump company, they look at it as like, hey, we're going to get $7,500. It's accounts receivable for them. So hopefully I haven't lost you there and haven't made it too complex, but that's what's going on. So working capital. In business, the word capital means what you have to make other stuff. And let's be honest, the most amazing capital is money, all right? So oftentimes people will just say, yeah, I got 10,000 capital. That's what my business has to work with. What they mean is their cash in bank is 10,000, right? So if you have 10,000 here as an asset, you have nothing there, you got 10,000 over there to work with. Okay? So that's sort of how these things line up. I'm trying to give you the vocab words and expose you to some of these things here as we go into work with them. So we're going to start working with those in class.